The only reason why the library closed, think about it, smartphone, the internet, everything you want to look up in life is on the smartphone, the internet. So we have no use to go and open books and read no more.
That's it's a difficult one because I cannot see how we can support education and knowledge and access, not just educate but access to it, um, but for our kids and not have a national library. I think we have to care about symbols. They do matter. They do matter to our children.
And so I just caught you walking past this building. You spotted us filming. Do you know what this building is?
No, I have no idea.
Seriously, no idea.
No
Okay.
idea.
Do you know that there was a national library in Grenada?
Well, I always hear people talking about a library and this around here, but I never really take interest of, getting to know it or whatsoever, or being in it. Never really been, you know.
Okay.
I have no knowledge about it.
Right. So, what do you think about the fact that this is Grenada's national library? How do you feel about that now that you know where it is and the condition it is in?
The condition is, I feel like it's terrible. I mean, if you look at it right now, glass break is very bad. I feel like they should reopen it though.
Yeah?
Yeah, I feel like they should reopen it. It's gonna be a plus for young children coming up, Very educational too.
The public library issue has always been one that's been important to me since its closure in 2011. As a student in schools in St. George's, I used to use the library a lot. And today, I should say, I don't think any student in any school, secondary, primary, and tertiary, has ever used the library. And that is sad. Also, as a published author in Grenada, I always think it's important that the works of the authors, of Grenadian writers of any genre should be in the public library. The students are missing a lot. First of all, it's a place where they can go to do research. Research is more than just jumping online, jumping on a computer and putting in some search parameters on Google or some search engine and trying to get information. A library would have a lot of information about Grenada that you most likely wouldn't find on Google or on the internet. So that's one factor, or that's one reason. Another, there's the social aspect as well. A lot of students back in the day when the library was functioning would hang out, so to speak, at the library. Obviously not to fit and have parties and so on, but just to meet each other and exchange ideas and so on.
I think a lot of things are packed into boxes and stuff, but still, of course, in the environment, we cannot expect, there was a termite problem, I think, in the library. So that could be affecting books and things like that, especially if they're in boxes. It's not air conditioned. I think most of the books are in a dry state, as well as the archives. From the last I saw it some years ago, I think it might be okay. I don't know for how much longer that case would be. But the library has lots of books, and we had asked when Oonya Kempadu and others had opened the St. George's Library, they had asked to actually be able to access books from there, and of course, the reply was no. Even though they were not being used. So that would have been one way of utilizing, the books that are in there that are locked up and nobody can access. The other thing is the library had a West Indies, what it was called a West Indies collection. So basically these were books that were kept in a cage, locked away, in a sense, a reference section that could only be accessed there. And this was a collection of things having to do with Grenada and the rest of the Caribbean, the special books, the ones that sometimes are hard to find and things like that. But a library is a different, it's a much larger institution. It's not about just making books available or resources available for people to read. It's really an institution that says something about how we see ourselves today and in the future by taking the stuff from our past and making it available so that people can access that information and learn about themselves. So it's not that we need one or the other, we need all of them. Yeah. These are the things that help us become rounded individuals in our society. And to deny that to a nation is, I think, I find it really sad.
Smartphone, the internet, everything you want to look up in life is on the smartphone, the internet. So we have no use to go and open books and read no more. You just use your smartphone.
Yeah.
And you pull up anything you want. Yeah, Google, you know the rest.
Okay.
Twitter, Facebook, anything you want to learn. What's up? Yeah, but that is the only reason why we don't. I still recommend.
Yeah, it's fine.
No, we don't want to use fight no more. Anything you want to learn right now, you go to your device.
Right. Okay, now that makes sense. People learn stuff online more. But what about the fact that there are still books and archives and records that are 100 years old inside that? Do you think that matters? They should be... What should happen to those?
We wanted to go in the museum.
Okay.
And the museum done for itself too.
Right.
The museum naked.
Yeah.
Nobody go to the museum, nobody go to the library, they go to the smartphone and the technology.
So you think these things are kind of just a waste of time? They're not a priority?
No, waste of time.
Money should be spent elsewhere?
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, I value your opinion.
I want us to appreciate that in 2022, a library will not look the same as it looked in 2011 when it closed. So it wouldn't be just a place where you'd find books, but obviously it has to provide services and more than just a spot for students to study, a place where you find books and archives and things like that. I read some time ago about Dominica's effort to build a new library, and they had, the plan was, to me, a great plan. It wasn't just about books and studying and research from bound volumes, but it was a plan to incorporate ICT, to incorporate all aspects of creative arts and so on. Possibly, I think there was a recording studio as well, maybe an area to perform, maybe have plays and whatever, but it seemed to be a building that would incorporate the creative arts, and not just where you sit and study or to jump online to do research, things like that. So a library in Grenada could or should take into consideration that we're in 2022, or we're approaching the middle of the 21st century. So it's not just about going to sit at a desk and just pour over a book, some books, and study class.
But we cannot keep putting things off. That needs to be done, because, for example, if we put the archives off, the stuff is going to rot. When we do get the equipment to start scanning and stuff, it's going to be late, because actually it's already late for a lot of the newspapers, because the minute you open the page, it just breaks up.
Wow.
Yeah, so for some of it, we have already waited too long, to do anything about it. So no, I see sometimes we talk about people in other countries have things that belong to us and we want it back, give it to us. We did that when the US invaded and took all the documents. They everybody clamored, give us back our stuff. And they actually microfiched it and gave it back to us. We dumped it on the floor to rot. You know, we're gonna have to go back to them and say, hey, those microfiche, can we get copies of that? You know, so we sometimes seems to be a little misdirected in our emphasis and not recognizing that we have stuff in Grenada that needs to be taken care of. And again, we can do both.
Yeah.
We don't have to just do one. We can do both of them, but we need to be consistent and recognize that we need to do something about what we have, as opposed to just trying to make noise sometimes about other things. You know, what can we do? And there are lots of people willing to help. There are lots of individuals, people willing to help, but we can't do anything for a library if none exist. You know, we cannot create an organization that would help find funding. We cannot donate books to the library. So I think we do need government to do some basic things, creating a space and things like that. But we can also create, lots of people can come together, and I think you will find people who are willing to come together to provide resources as well, and access to resources. But we have to start with something. We cannot fundraise for a library that does not exist.